What's up, everybody? Here is another video. I've been wanting to do one about the best way to play this game. I wrote down a couple of notes and we'll kind of see how this or where this goes. So one of the first things that I think is very important for people to do, and these tips will go for like if you're just now starting the game or if you've been playing for a while and you're kind of wondering where to go. But this first tip is really more for like when you first start playing a game. So when you first start playing a game, I think it's very important to a lot of it's going to be like self-identity stuff in the beginning. Like the first thing you need to do is decide what kind of player you're going to be. If you're going to be free to play, if you're going to spend less than $1,000 a month or more than $1,000 a month. I picked $1,000 a month because I think I spend probably somewhere between $500 to $1,000 a month, especially when I first started playing, and it makes me, I would say pretty, I don't know, I guess mid, but that's because I have high standards. Okay, but anyways, I probably spend $500 to $1,000 a month. And yes, there's been months where I spent more than $1,000, and that's usually because of war and trying to give my people the best chance to win. But I know the people who are like the super whales or whatever, they spend $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month. I know people who drop like $2,000 in a single battle. But anyways, the point is, you need to decide what kind of player you're going to be, and then in deciding what kind of player you're going to be, that's going to determine several things. So if you decide to be free to play, you're basically at the mercy of the game. You don't get to dictate basically what kind of player you're going to be. You just got to take with whatever the game gives you and do your best with it. But of course, I think the pros to that is that you don't spend a bunch of money in the game. The cons to that is you're the game's bitch, basically. You just gotta be whatever they want you to be. You can join a good clan. You get the rewards from that clan. Show up, be active. That's all that's in your control. But like everything else, not in your control. So that is what free to play gets you. If you spend less than $1,000 a month, you could be quite competitive if you know how to spend. But the rules that I'm going to lay out throughout this video mostly apply to this spending of less than $1,000 a month, because every dollar counts and you want to do things for the maximum value. Basically, when you spend more than $1,000 a month, you have the luxury of making more mistakes, and also the main difference between like a player like me and like a player like Voldemort or Max or someone super strong, Tony Stark, etc., is that one basic rule of this game is that like one really good, or one really max thing, like a max truck, a max 8-star survivors, those things are going to be better than you having two really good things. So if I got 3 survivors and they're all 8 stars, that's going to always be typically having 6 survivors at 7 stars. Or if you have a truck at level 60, that's usually going to beat 2 trucks at level 50. And this holds true time and time again. So then when we talk about like what makes a player like at a higher level than me better than me, it's because they have more of those things at max than I do. And I guess that sounds like common sense, but basically I would say one main takeaway from this is, again, if you're going to have something, it's better to have one thing at max than 2 things at very good or kind of max. So if you spend more than $1,000 a month, you're going to have more things at higher levels, and that's why you will be a better player, of course, than someone that spends less than $1,000. But there's ways to be super competitive even at less than $1,000. Also, if you spend more than $1,000 a month, you're going to be able to take advantage of the little things that separate you from everyone else. But I'll get into that later. All right, so once you decide what kind of player you are, you need to decide what it is you're going to main as far as troop types go. And this is very, very, very important as well. So as you know, there's three troop types. There's melee, shooters, and cavalry. Now, there's probably some sort of debate as to which one of these is the absolute best. And what I will tell you is that, while I don't know which one is the best, I can definitely tell you that cavalry is the worst. Cavalry is the worst because it's fairly mid, and also it just doesn't have the advantages the other two have. So, with shooters, you're going to do the most damage always. And there's so many clan events that require you to score high by getting or causing the most damage that you can possibly do. The what is it? The Whisperers event is like a key example of this, that you want to score as high as possible, so you use shooters. Then the Carnivore event that they have now going on in my season is another example. Let me see if I can pull up some of these events. Nope. Well, that's nice. I know that was coming up. I don't see any of them here. Does it look better this way? Nope. Survivor challenge. Nope. Okay, I can't see any of that stuff now, but there are several events that you will see or notice that your score in them is dependent on how high your attack is. So that's why I say sharpshooters are a good investment. Their defense and health suck, but realistically, I mean, they say they die faster, but if one thing's die, they die. So there. And then with melee, what's very important to know about melee is that this part right here, destruction power. My destruction power with sharpshooters in this formation is 551. My destruction power with melee in this is 150 higher, 704. So imagine if you have 5 formations, and you also increase your destruction power by 150 points per formation. That's an extra 750 points in damage. That's almost 1,000 extra points. And then if you have a whole bunch of people in your clan who increase their damage output by 750. When I say damage output, of course, this mostly refers to like war. Whenever you are fighting and trying to take down an outpost, how much damage you do to that outpost is dependent on this number right here. So we went from 550 to 700, like I said, and imagine if everyone increased all their formations by 150 points. That is like a massive increase. 10 people doing that is an extra 1,500 damage off of an OP that you guys are trying to take down. You can take down an OP with 10 people easy. So, but anyways, my point is, there's good reason to argue that melee is the best, and there's good reason to argue that sharpshooters are the best. There's no reason to argue that cavalry is the best. I think it's misleading that you have the best formation in the game with the elite warriors. I believe they go by here, and their chemistry is cavalry based, but the meat and potatoes of it is basically Cavalry's trash. All right, so with that said, you make a decision if you want to be melee or a shooter. What is ideal is if you're starting this game, find someone who will be your opposite. So if you're going to be melee, find someone to be sharpshooters. If someone's going to be sharpshooters, you find someone to be melee. Because in the event that you go against someone who decided to pick trash cavalry, if you're the shooter, you got their back. And then if they're the shooter, they got your back. So that's ideally how you want to run this. Let's see. What's next? All right. So I already discussed like my number one rule is a max anything is better than two really good things. Let me go to my garage. All right. So like I got two. These look max, but this is not max at all. But if I had the choice between having a level 60 truck or two level 50 burnt vehicles, it's always going to be better to have one level 60. There are a few situations where this does not apply. I would say one of those situations is war carts. Jesus Christ. So here you can see I have a level 80 Shiva, and here you can see I have a almost level 50, level 49 Flame of Fear, and a level 19. So why I won't say that it doesn't apply in this instance either. The idea that one max thing is better than two really good things, but why it matters less here is because these levels pretty much are equivalent to how much the increase in stats is, and the resources that's going to cost for me to go to 80 and 90 probably could be used to push like any of these to level 50. So an increase in 50% stats and something else is going to of course be better than an increase in 10% stats. So a few situations, and maybe I'll do better in defining like where it's better to not go with that. But a general rule is if you max something, that's better than having two really good things. Again, especially with vehicles, because they don't only increase your base stats, they also increase things like attack damage dealt and attack damage received and things like that. So and then my last best tip for this game is that radios are the way to go. I preached this in my last video, but you can never go wrong with radios. You can never go wrong with spending money or investing in radios, because radios contribute so much to your overall game. So again, one of the key pillars or main things you should do in this game is determine what kind of player you're going to be. So also, I guess I skipped over that part. Once you decide like if you're going to be melee or a shooter, because again, I'm not recommending that you do cavalry at all. I really see no benefit unless you're going to be a farmer. If you're going to be a farmer, cavalry all day. But if you want to actually compete and fight in this game, one of these two is your best. Sorry, I'm going ape shit. Once you decide if you're going to be melee or shooter, then you need to decide what chemistry is best for you. And then that's again where how much money you're going to spend in the game comes in. By far the best shooter chemistry is going to be, hold on, I'm taking a long way. How do I get to the best shooter? Of course is going to be the Tyrants. I was looking for that. Okay, best shooters for sure is going to be Tyrants. If you spend I guess I'll say from $500 to $1,000 a month, this is extremely attainable. Second best shooters, pure shooters, is probably going to be Saviors. And I say that because John is a poor man's Pamela. If you look at their skills, they have a lot of similar skills. I think this is one. 60% chance 250 damage to one enemy crew, and increased damage dealt by 15. Let's see John's. This one, instead of increasing attack, decreases damage received by 15%. This is another one. Let me see. And this is like another one where you get a rampage, and then there's an and then you're able to disarm their attacks and make it where they can't attack for one turn. Pamela has a similar skill but it increases the evade. See, the unable to trigger attack for one turn. And then this one, where she puts 3 crews in an evasion state. John has a similar skill where he only puts himself in an evasion state. Which one is that? This one here. And put your own crew evasion state. So yeah. So if you're going with shooters, Tyrants is going to be your best bet, then probably Saviors. So Tyrants is going to be your best bet because Negan, over the course of several seasons, is very easy to get. You don't need new Negan or new Governor to fulfill the Tyrants. Usually by the time you get a max Pamela, you'll have a max Negan and a max Governor, like by pure accident, especially if you're trying to get Pamela. And by pure accident, I mean just by playing the game regularly. Most people who are pretty aggressive about getting Pamela will also have acquired regular Negan and regular Governor with no issue. Again, Saviors is probably going to be your next best sharpshooters. Probably followed by these Freedom Fighters for sure. Let me see. Do I want to walk any of this back? No. So very easy. And then for melee, Family Unit is definitely the best melee group. Where you at, Family Unit? Jesus Christ, Rick. You hiding from me, Rick? All right, Family Unity. Oh, sorry. Yeah. This is going to be your best melee for sure. I think I'm on the fence about the Whisperers. It used to be the Love Triangle that was the second best in melee, but I think it is now the Whisperers. I mean, and rightfully so, because Alpha was a badass, like for sure. These two characters are pretty much the same. All they do is safeguard the middle, but Lydia seems to do a better job at it than Holly here. No big deal. So you got the Whispers and Love Triangle. And for free-to-play people, these are going to be probably the most attainable ones. Just like for free-to-play people, Savior, Tyrants, probably. Maybe the Freedom Fighters will be the easiest one for you to get. Let's see what else. And then Cavalry, of course, Elite Warriors are going to be the best ones, followed by Magnus crew. So you do have some chemistries that are not specific that do good things, like the Prison Recon one, where they just increase attack and defense, no matter which people you choose. And then some aren't locked. Some of these survivors aren't locked to a specific troop type, which also makes them good. So you'll see a lot of like high level players substitute cavalry with elite warriors and throw in sharpshooters or whoever they prefer. So again, choose who you want to main, if it's melee, if it's sharpshooters, and then choose what your chemistry group is. Once you choose your chemistry group, the next thing you want to do is get a good dog. And so these are in the way, what I'm about to spell out next is in order of importance. So again, well, let me recap. First, you're going to decide how much money you're going to spend on this game in a month and try to stick to that. Secondly, you're going to figure out what it is you're going to main between melee and sharpshooters. You can choose cavalry you want. I just strongly am against it. Once you choose between melee and sharpshooters. You're going to buy a bunch of radios and try to win the survival challenge every chance you can. Oh man, did I start over? It's radio time now. Okay, maybe I'll play. I'm gonna play in the middle of this video. Sorry, forgive me. Anyways, once you get your survivor group that you're going for, you play radios until you get them all max. Basically, you just focus on radios. Like I said, it's better to max one thing than to have a bunch of other really good things. So that even applies to what you're spending on. Focus on one thing at a time. Do radios till you get your survivors at the level you want them at. If everyone is at level 30 and you're at level 50, it's probably safe to move on to something else. But like I said, just max it best you can and then move on. So after you choose your survivors, the next thing that you're going to want to focus on is dogs. And why do you want to focus on dogs? Because when it comes to fighting, the speed skills are absolutely pivotal in determining how many troops you kill. Like, it's one of the biggest determining factors of victory. So work on getting these max speed skills. All this other stuff can come secondary, but when it comes to dogs, at least take care of the speed skills, and then probably the troop skills, and then the attack damage dealt, and damage taken and damage received, damage received and damage dealt. Those you need to focus on next. But so you got your survivors, you got your dogs. The next thing I say you should max out is your recruits. And so with recruits, you don't have to get everything to a max level. You only want to do these to the minimum level until you get to speed. So, because again, speed is very important. Once you get to speed, you're done with recruits. You don't have to max anything else. And this is a perfect example. I only have 6 out of 10, and I can move on to the next one. And that's usually how it goes. You don't have to max every one of these out. Like, I got to speed without getting all these maxed out, is my point. You just do the minimum. When it comes to minimum, when you see this 5, 3 out of 5, I'll get you to go to the next level. 6 out of 10, I'll get you to go to the next level. And that's all you do, the very minimum. Again, I'm going to say it again, very minimum until you get to speed. When you get to speed, you're done with recruits. All right, so picture survivors, you got your dogs, you got your recruits where you want them to go. I'm going to write this down for you guys. Okay, I'll go troop type. Then survivor. Then animal. I guess dog isn't correct. Then recruit. And then let's see, what would be next? I'm gonna go vehicle. Vehicle is important again. That's the wrong one. Right here. That's why vehicle is important. This right here is why vehicle is important. So, vehicle is next. Even make sure you max out the mods. I would not. So, what will happen is when you're trying to max out this vehicle, because this stuff is so incredibly high and hard to get resources for, you will probably get this to level 60 long before you get any of this other stuff to level 60. So once you get enough copper to max out your truck and you're still getting these resources, then I would say pick the vehicle that best helps your game. So as you see, I got this because I think it's important for defense, but also having an increased training speed probably helps out your game a lot. Protecting idle fighters probably does not help protect your game a lot. So I would not recommend spending copper on this truck. Or cost and reduction in cost for Research, probably very helpful. So definitely spend bricks there, even if you're not going to level up any of this stuff. Put your bricks there to help reduce your costs for research. Healing speed, depending on how much war you're going through, probably helpful. Not as helpful as research, but helpful. Research, bullet cost reduction, very important in the beginning of the game. Not so important where I'm at in the game. So not something I would put bricks on, but copper on. But I can see why people would do it. March speed, never important. Like almost like this. So this is the difference between less than $1,000 a month player versus greater than $1,000 a month player. Because someone who spends a whole lot of money on the game would have this maxed out, even though it like literally makes little difference in the game. What is the max for this? 26%. You think 26% of 60 seconds is like 15 seconds. Not that you would have a 60-second mark showing, but like just it doesn't matter. You still like 45 seconds or 60 seconds mark time. Not gonna matter. Anyways, hospital capacity probably not gonna matter much. Again, maybe double 50%. Realistically, if you manage your hospital as well, you don't need an increase of any kind of hospital capacity. And then they got so many things now that you can use, so not necessary. And then cost reduction, accept bullets for construction, probably useful at some point. I guess especially in the beginning of the game when you're trying to get to T10, this is very important. And then lastly, gather speed. This is another thing. This is another thing that's the difference between someone who spends a lot of money versus someone who doesn't. And by a lot, I mean more than $1,000 a month. That's probably more than $500 a month. It's a lot to most people. But anyways, this is like a luxury. It doesn't matter how fast your gathering speed is. There's no gathering speed events. So yeah, pick your vehicle. Let's see where we're at. What else can you use to be good at this game? I'm going to say investing in war cards is probably the next best thing you can do. Why is that? Because with war cards, not only do you get these global buffs to increase stats, but these skills, as you climb up and up, are probably very, very, very useful. So I'm going to go war cards there. Let's see where else we can go. And then weapons. So the thing with weapons, while I don't think they are a top-notch thing, I do think getting all gold gear is important. But as far as developing them at the forge, probably a bottom tier thing to focus on. Like here, probably bottom tier. When should you get gold gear? All right, I will say get gold gear before you focus on war cards. Yeah. But once you get gold gear, then war cards can take precedence. Oh, and then I forgot like the main things. So these are the things that determine how good of a player you go. Maybe I should just number these. Let's do that. All right, so number 1. Number 1 is going to be combat survivors. Number 2 is going to be animals. Number 3, vehicles. Oh, I'm sorry. No. Psych. Number 3 is recruits. So if you notice, combat survivors affect speed, animals affect speed, and recruits affect speed, and that is why they're very important. I think simultaneously you probably should be working on technology and or buildings, but we'll come back to that. Down there's town hall skins. That is absolutely last, so I won't number it all, so it'll mess up my screen. So Super long video, I know, but if you stick with me, you will have the keys to the game. All right. This is like a prereq. You should already know what kind of fighter you are before we get to these numbers. All right, so let's see. And then 4 is vehicles. So I'm going to say this is 5A. War carts would be 5B. No, scratch that. Technology is definitely 5. And then combat equipment and war carts is 6. Buildings is probably 5B. With town hall scans being absolutely last. Not even gonna put 7. 7's such a special number, shouldn't disrespect it. But anyways, so the point is, figure out what kind of fighter you're gonna be. Do that first. Like I said, sharpshooter, melee, pick one of those. Then next, pick what kind of whatever your main chemistry is gonna be. Pick one of those and work towards that, and spend money on radios until you get them. Then next, get a good dog. And again, if you just focus on this one thing and spend money, you'll do good. The only other strategies for spending is only spending for high max value things, and I cover in my Should You Buy series where you can get some of those max value things. So keep watching those as those come out, and then you'll know when to spend your money. So that is 2, focus on animals. 3, focus on recruits until you get the speed attribute, and then you're done. All right, 4, then you can work on your vehicles. And actually, now that I think about it, you probably should work on the technology before you get to the vehicles. But, yeah, for sure. I don't have an eraser, sorry. Focus on your tech. Get your tech up. You usually have to get your buildings up to get your tech up. So that's why those are 4A and 4B. Then work on your vehicles. And with tech, it just depends on where you're at in your game. If you don't have a lot of war stuff going on, you don't need things like No Mercy. Where's No Mercy at? Yeah, you don't need things like No Mercy if you're not attacking people a lot, or if you're not doing a lot of raiding. You don't need that kind of stuff. And also, I guess what's important about technology, you don't need 5 keys at 100% of tech. Like, you can be just fine with just your F1 being max tech, or max 2, or your F2. Like what gets lost, and again, this is the difference between the higher level players versus the lower level players. Of course, as it comes to with spending money, if you spend a lot of money, you can afford to have 5 queues at max tech, and if you don't spend a lot of money, it doesn't make sense to focus on these other queues when you only have one group of survivors or 2 groups of survivors at 8 stars, or realistically, it doesn't make sense to have a max queue, 5 max queues, unless you have 5 max weapons. 5 max vehicles. Oh, I think I'm getting tired, so I'm gonna have to cut this one. Jesus Christ, yeah. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and end this video. 35 minutes. I don't even know if you guys will get through this. I'll probably have to make this several videos. But I'm gonna put this out for the true fans, and then I'll make, I don't know, maybe 3 shorter videos or a whole bunch of shorter videos, probably a series, on the best tips and tricks of this game, my pillars for success. Sorry to cut this short, but I'll revisit it and go back over it later. Thanks for watching, and I'm out.